Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's a pleasure for me to present at this prestigious convention organized by TESOL Italy. My name is Rosario Giraldes. I am the former academic director of the Binational Center in Uruguay, Alianza Cultural, Uruguay, Estados Unidos. I retired last year, but I still keep in contact with my institution. Also, I now offer consulting and coaching services. I am an active TESOL International member, recently appointed chair-elect of the TESOL Program Administration Interest Section, and I am also a member of the TESOL Awards Professional Council. Today, I will be sharing some useful tips for promoting professional development, particularly focused on the program administrator's perspective. And I'd also like to mention that I will be sharing my PowerPoint at the end of the presentation. I'd like to start by outlining the contents we will go through today. First, I'd like to look into some terms commonly associated with professional development. Then we will see how some experts define professional development. After that, we will look at the responsibilities involved in the pursuit of professional development. Next, we will consider the leader's perspectives to see possible courses of action that can be taken. Following that, we will go over some useful tips to promote professional development, and we will also see how we can implement them. Then I will share my own favorite tips and a few suggestions that have worked out for me. Lastly, we will round up with some final remarks, and I will also share the references that will be mentioned in the presentation. So, what do we understand by professional development? When brainstorming terms, many would say that it is the training provided at the workplace. So the emphasis here is on the program administrator's perspective and on giving something. Others focus on learning as a crucial component to develop professionally. And the central point here is on the instructor's perspective. Still others would include the concept of collaboration as being key in the road to professional development. And then there are others who would choose to talk about continuing education and being lifelong learners. Finally, there are those who speak about instructional experiences, and they incorporate the concept of experiencing instruction. There still may be other views, but those are the most commonly mentioned when asked to brainstorm terms associated with professional development. Let's now turn to experts' viewpoints on professional development in order to see a few ways in which they have defined this concept. Let's start with Mitzel, who contends that professional development means numerous forms of instructional experiences associated with people's work. As you can see, Mitzel focuses on experiences happening in the workplace, a notion that is shared by the other definitions I will refer to. Now, Antley states that professional development refers to continuing education and career training after a person has entered the workforce in order to help them develop new skills, stay up to date on current trends, and advance their career. In this case, Antley mentions three objectives of professional development: learning new competencies, keeping updated, and moving forward. And then Crandall argues that educator professional development is described as a long-lasting procedure of development that contains learning with collaboration and/or independence. Educators are involved in the procedure and they think actively about their work. In this other case, Crandall refers to instructors actively participating in their pursuit of professional development. And she also adds the notion of learning with collaboration and/or independence. You may choose to define professional development in various ways, and each will be valid as long as you walk your talk. Now, who is responsible for pursuing professional development? Well, as we have seen, we will find different views here, and each will give us a different answer. Some argue that each teacher is responsible for finding their own ways to develop professionally. Then there are others who believe that program administrators should provide professional development for their staff. Still others think that both teachers and program administrators share this responsibility equally, 50-50. One other viewpoint places more responsibility on program administrators than on teachers. They argue that program administrators are the ones who ultimately evaluate teachers, and therefore they should know best how to guide the professional development of their staff. And lastly, there is one more viewpoint that places more responsibility on teachers than on program administrators. This viewpoint contends that once teachers have joined the workforce, they should be responsible for their own quest for professional development. Of course, they will need feedback and guidance from program administrators, but they should actively seek this guidance and support. Monique Valcour makes a strong point in one of her articles published in the Harvard Business Review magazine. She talks about managers in general, and she contends that facilitating employee learning and development should be a non-negotiable competency that managers need to have. In this respect, she believes that as program administrators, we should expand our focus from how can I get excellent performance out of my team members to how can I get excellent performance out of my team members while helping them grow. Doing well on the last part of this question, helping them grow, helps to answer the first. That is, we should find ways to help teachers grow professionally in order to help them attain excellent performance. Let's now look at a few considerations from the leader's perspective. First of all, as leaders, we work on our own professional development. But do we share what we do at all? And if so, how do we share what we do? I'd suggest sharing our professional development plan explicitly with our staff. For example, we can make comments on techniques we are working on because we want to improve them. Also, we can promote the presentations we are planning and delivering, as well as the works we get published. Promoting what we are doing can inspire others to do the same. Another very important point is to be attentive to staff's needs. Sometimes staff may bring up their needs openly, but many other times they do not. This may be due to lack of self-awareness or lack of assertiveness, but in the end, we need to find out what their needs are. Once we have become aware of staff's needs, we can identify areas to work on. If we come up with several areas, we will have to prioritize, of course. And first, we will need to design a professional development plan, which may attend to individual needs or group needs. And in each case, we will need to have a leader or mentor to follow up. For this, it's crucial to involve staff in the design of the plans. By doing this, we are capitalizing on teachers' individual strengths, and at the same time, we are empowering them. When staff members are involved in the design of professional development plans, the chances of success will potentially grow. In his article, 6 Tips for Successful Continuous Professional Development, Kamali presents some compelling arguments that I'd like to share with you today. The first one is always be a learner. We must bear in mind that we are lifelong learners and we should be open to learning new ways and new things. This does not only keep us on our path to professional development, but it also helps us to develop empathy, which in the end helps us see the world from other people's perspective. It is relevant to say that we can learn on our own, but we also learn from others, from our supervisors, from peers, and most of all, from our students. Number 2 is be positive and surround yourself with positive people. Promoting a positive atmosphere is essential in any context, either in the class, in person or virtual, or in the teacher's lounge. It is very important to be alert to signs of disappointment, lack of progress, and burnout symptoms. If any of these seem to enter the picture, we need to dig into the reasons that could explain these signs and take action. Kamali is fond of the saying, a negative attitude is like a flat tire. You can't get anywhere unless you change it. And I agree. Negativism hinders professional development. And if we detect it, we need to stop it right away. Number 3 is attend ELT events. Conferences, conventions like this one, for example, symposiums and courses are not only events that have a start and end dates. They can also imply getting involved in projects or collaboration with colleagues. Also, whether in person or online, ELT events contribute to being updated on the latest trends, to promoting the exchange of ideas, and to expanding our communities of practice. They provide excellent opportunities for professional development. Tip number 4 is observed and be observed. Kamali asserts that what we can learn from observing a colleague is indisputable. It is amazing to see our colleagues in action and learn from them. In some cases, we may decide to adopt or adapt some of their techniques. And in some other cases, observing peers may trigger new ideas that could result in improvement of our teaching practice. In addition, by indulging ourselves in observing teaching in action, we may get to make connections that could nurture our professional development. But we should not only consider observing others. Being observed also provides room for reflection and exchange of ideas, as well as for paving the way for improving our own teaching practice. Tip number 5 is reflect on what you do. Kamali quotes Sean's ideas on reflection and states that there are 3 types of reflection. The first one is reflection for action. This is the pre-stage, and it happens prior to an event, like writing a lesson plan for a class we will teach. At this point, we think about the students we have in the actual class, and we plan our lesson accordingly. The second one is reflection in action. This is the while stage. This kind of reflection refers to what takes place in an actual class. It includes intuitive thinking and on-the-spot decision-making, which are crucial skills that we teachers need to develop. And the last one is reflection on action, which is the most well-known kind of reflection. This is the post stage, and it is the type that takes place after the lesson is over, when we look into our class to see what went well, what we could do differently, and what we need to work on. Tip number 6 is read, read, and write. Kamali emphasizes that he has 2 reads and 1 write in this tip because we should read twice what we write. He also points out that if we just stay at the level of reading information without engaging in professional writing, we would be mere recipients of knowledge. Therefore, we should go in for professional writing and encourage our teachers to do so too. Probably, this is one of the most demanding tasks program administrators may have to deal with. It requires stamina as well as focus, because we need to find strategies that can motivate our staff to engage in professional writing. And these strategies will probably not be the same for everyone. What can work well with one teacher may not work well with others. One suggestion could be to encourage staff to start small and to work collaboratively in the process of drafting a paper, which could be a book review, a blog post, or even a short article. Teachers can choose who they wish to work with, and this could help them feel safer and more motivated to give professional writing a chance. I'd like to share my favorite tips now and make a few recommendations. One thing we many times fall for is jumping to conclusions. And my recommendation would be to avoid taking things for granted. Some things may seem too obvious, but too often the reason behind some actions are not the most evident. It is of utmost importance to refrain ourselves from jumping to conclusions, and we need to learn to question our own line of thinking. In order to do that, we need to listen carefully between the lines to be able to detect what lies behind some actions, comments, or behaviors. And here I'd recommend having regular short conversations with our teachers instead of just one annual performance review meeting. Regular conversations help improve communications between program administrators and teachers. And they also contribute to understanding needs and clarifying career goals. In addition, these regular conversations also help evidence progress in teacher development. Another useful tip is to ask powerful questions. Even if we think we have the answer, we still need to ask the question and listen attentively to the answer we get. I know it is difficult to come up with powerful questions, but it is really worth the effort. And then, if we believe the answer we receive is not the one we are expecting, the next step would be to pose another powerful question to get the other person thinking and continue the exchange in that way. By doing that, we are helping staff find their own answers. And as a result, we are promoting their own professional development. To round up, I'd like to quote Kamali again when he says that professional development is not easy and sometimes even painful. However, it is the only way to thrive and flourish in any profession. The tips we have seen today are only some ways we can continue our journey on the professional development path. So I would say that leading the path of professional development is challenging and strenuous. However, it can be enriching and rewarding at the same time. On the one hand, it takes time, dedication, and hard work to scaffold, implement, and follow up on professional development plans. But on the other hand, watching how our teachers grow professionally, knowing we contributed to their growth, can turn out to be extremely gratifying. Well, you can see the references I mentioned in this slide, and you can click on the links to see the whole articles. And now I would like to thank TESOL Italy for organizing this conference and also for giving me the opportunity to share some tips with you. You can find a copy of my PowerPoint here in this QR code, or you can email me to my address here if you prefer. I'd be glad to answer the questions that you may have. Thank you.